Alright, so we've been in the kitchen, we washed our apples, we quartered them, and now we're going to start cooking them. So I'm going to turn on my gas, and then I've got this little thing here, and I get that going before I do this. So I get a good flame there. And then I can turn this on. Alright, so I don't want it to be too high, because you don't want to burn these things. You don't want to boil them so hard that they boil over or they burn or something like that. So in my kettle here, I have probably 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches of water. It's about 2 quarts. And I'm going to put my washed and quartered apples in here. Now they are going to cook down some. So, this is almost to the top, but since they do cook down, I can kind of heat them up a little bit. Okay, I don't want to do too much more than that. I'll put my lid on them, and they're going to cook for a little while. And I can't give you an exact time because it's really going to depend on what kind of apples you have, how high your flame is, and how big your kettle is, all that stuff, all those things play into it. So you're just going to have to kind of keep an eye on them. Now this board back here, you may think, what on earth is that? Well, we have a nice little steady breeze that comes across this area and kind of affects the flame. So this is just kind of protecting the stove from too much breeze and so forth. And it is, I think this is like fireproof and stuff. But anyway, you just have to be careful. All of these things you just have to be careful with. You don't want your tank too close and all that stuff. So anyway, we're going to let these cook a little bit, and we'll come back and I'll show you how mushy they have to be, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we're back. Our apples are cooked. If you want to kind of have a look here, you can kind of tell the skins have separated from the apple, and they just look mushy. So they're going to go through our applesauce maker quite well. I'm going to look at this other kettle here. It's just a few minutes behind, and it's not quite. So I don't know if you can really tell, but you just have to realize that these have to go through that screen in there. And as you look at the applesauce maker, you'll see what I mean. So these aren't quite ready, but you want to kind of push them down, stir them around a little bit. Be careful because it is hot, and there's nothing worse than like a steam burn, being scalded by this hot boiling water. So anyway, we're going to be done with this one. I'm going to turn the stove off. And for hot pads here, I just have some wood. It's like a 1x10. We just cut into a square. Just going to set that on there, and we're ready to start. So, I don't know where my 2-cup measure went. Anyway, we're going to put these in here. But my kitchen just isn't quite big enough with enough counter space, and I have a glass top stove as well. And I'm just not comfortable with putting these heavy kettles and canning kettles on there. I just, I hear things that, yeah, you can use them, and then I hear, no, you can't. So, anyway, this is kind of the method to my madness. And the other thing I just realized is that we forgot the gasket for this. So, anyway, you'll have these times too when, oops, we learn by trial and error. Anyway, so I'm pushing these down into the middle part, and out comes my beautiful applesauce. Look at that. Oh, I just love this. And they smell so good. There's just nothing like canning applesauce. I just love this. And you'll notice that out this part is coming the peels and the cores, and out this part is coming our beautiful applesauce. Now the apples that I'm using today are Gala apples, we haven't lived here in this location for very long, so I haven't really had the chance to do a lot of research at what orchards carry what kinds of apples. And when we were in Washington, we had a beautiful apple. We had a little orchard, about 40 trees. And we had some apples that were, the flesh was white, but they have little red veins running through it and made the most beautiful pink applesauce. It was kind of a sweet, tart apple. And I've not yet located those tags. I do have a place that I like to keep them. Those tags are not there. So I'll let you know when I figure it out, what kind of apples. But you kind of have to decide, you know, what kind of apples do you like? What kind of applesauce do you like? Do you want it to be yellow like the kinds you get in the store? Then you'd maybe want to do like a yellow delicious or something. If you like them to be a little pink, you have to do a little bit more research on that. I chose Gala because it was between that and Macintosh are fine too. I just prefer these. So when I get a pan full of this applesauce, then I'll put it into the big bowl. I put just a little bit of sugar with it just to keep it, not so much for sweetening, but just to keep the color nice. And it does preserve it just a little longer. So you do have a fresher tasting applesauce for just a little longer. So I would say maybe in this great big bowl here, I would put maybe a half a cup of sugar. It's really not very much. It ends up being, you know, like a teaspoon or a tablespoon or something per quart. So it's really not much at all. Alright, so then we're going to, see that's just coming out really, really nice. It's just kind of a light pink color. And I like that. I like pink applesauce. And then these, the peels and the cores and everything, I'm going to just put that in my compost. And that adds to, you know, your soil quality and so forth. And I actually like to put it right around the trees and kind of cover it with a little bit of dirt. And I don't do well with the, you get the compost thing and you stir it around and all that. I don't do well with that. I would rather just bury it right there in the dirt, and my trees love that too. So anyway, we'll be back later when we're ready to put this applesauce into jars and put it in the canner.